How dare you let your daughter run your company over your son? Guys, that's the first story we're going to look at today. I have 2 entitlement stories and 2 Am I the A-hole stories. It's Mr. Reddito, and if you don't know who I am, we read stories every single day. So check out the channel because we're about to jump into story 1. My boyfriend's father recently announced that he plans to retire in a few months and hand over the reins of his company to his right-hand man, his daughter, and my boyfriend's sister, Shania. Name was changed. She's been working for him for over a decade and has played a pivotal role in growing the company. She's an astute business person and everyone agrees that she's the ideal candidate for the job. Everyone except boyfriend's paternal uncle, entitled Uncle. To know more about him and his problematic view on gender roles, go to my post history and sort by the top. His wife, entitled Aunt, when they heard about this they were, quote, horrified. How dare his brother put a woman in charge of his business? How could they overlook their son, boyfriend's cousin, who was obviously more qualified for the job? By virtue of having a wiener? They didn't say it in so many words, but this is pretty much the gist of it. The uncle's son was denied a job at the company years ago on account of his erratic behavior and general assholery. Back then, the uncle insisted that his son should just be handed a cushy job at the company, simply because he was family. Now the uncle had the galls to expect his brother to make him in charge of the company when he stepped down. His reasoning is that only a man should inherit the family business, and that it just wasn't a woman's place. The uncle actually seemed way more upset about his niece getting the job than he was about his son not getting it. He and his wife kept repeating the same nonsense about how it was a huge mistake to put a woman in charge when male members of the family were available. Boyfriend's dad tried to explain to them why Shania was suitable for the job and the EU and EA son was not. However, it notoriously is difficult to reason with bigoted crapheads. They refused to listen and actually suggested that the boyfriend's dad take their son under his wing and teach him. Because, quote, he's so smart and he can learn really fast. He'll run the company way better than Shania. You'll see. Also, quote, since your son, example my boyfriend, isn't man enough to be your heir, you should give our son a chance. They just kept making ridiculous arguments like, what about when she gets married? She'll change her surname. My boyfriend's dad tried to explain to them that whether she gets married and changes her surname or not is entirely her decision. And if she does, how on earth would it affect her business and leadership skills? When my boyfriend's dad and sister shut them down, they changed tactics. Yesterday evening, boyfriend received a call from his aunt. She went on an insane rant about how my boyfriend's dad did not know what he was doing. She then tried to provoke my boyfriend. She told him since he was the son, it was his natural right to succeed his father, and he should not let his sister rob him of it. My boyfriend told her to never dial his number again and hung the phone up. These a-holes knew very well that my boyfriend has never been interested in his dad's business. But I guess since their son wasn't going to run the company, they decided to provoke or feud between my boyfriend and his sister. Because, well, I guess they're kind of sad, bitter little crapheads who just cannot see other people happy. Hey guys, that was a crazy story. Why does the entitled uncle and entitled aunt think that they can even have a say in what the father does with his business? If he wants to give it to his daughter, then who's gonna stop him? It's his business. Let me know what you guys would do in the comment section below. The next story we're going to look at is also an entitlement story, and it involves a sister's feud. My niece had to move back in with her mother after the lockdown started. She lost her job and all her classes were online. Her lease was a month-to-month, and so she did not have to worry about breaking her lease. Recently, the schools have reopened and she started attending classes again. Problem is, her apartment, which was walking distance from her university, is now rented. Parking in the area sucks, and it's an hour one way from her mother's house on public transit. I will say now that my niece is also incredibly spoiled and is taking classes for a degree with no practical benefits. By this, I mean that it will in no way help her with a career path, nor as the necessary courses for further education. Got a call from my sister asking if my niece could live with me, because I live alone in a 2-bedroom house and I'm only 15-minute bus trip away from her university. I said no for several reasons and I'll list them here. Number 1. I work nights and need to sleep during the day. My niece is very loud and doesn't understand the concept of indoor voice. Last time she stayed in the same home as me, I was sleep deprived because of her practically yelling on her phone, and it affected how I did my job, resulting in a write-up. Number 2. My niece is always a very messy person. I helped with the move out and the memory makes me shudder. Some of the unwashed dishes in the sink were tossed because they were beyond cleaning. She tried to just sit on a random crap and text her friends and scroll TikTok. I had to take her phone and lock it in the glove box for the U-Haul that we rented to get her butt moving to help. My sister calls me a jerk for doing this. Number 3. While I may have a 2-bedroom home, the second room is my office and workroom. I've been in the process of making wire wrap necklaces to sell online for extra income, and I need the area for a workspace. It's also my library, for lack of a better word. I keep my collection of novels on bookshelves in there, and a comfy old recliner for reading in. My niece is allergic to cats, and I have 3! My sister seems to think I can keep them all either in my bedroom or locked up in the basement for the school year. No. And this is the big one for me, number 5. My old sister is under the belief that my niece wouldn't have to help out with household expenses, or be expected to cook for herself. She also thinks that my niece should not have to get a job while in school just to focus on her studies. Tried to pull the "we're family and should help each other out" card, but that did not count for crap when my step-siblings nearly made me homeless after my stepdad died and gave me 30 days to find a new place for me, my dog, and dog-friendly buildings where I live are hard to find. The only way I would agree for my niece to live with me is that she would give me $250 a month to help cover utilities and part of the internet. I figured that's a steal considering a cheap place around her school is more than double, heck, even triple that. Plus utilities, and she could use the garage for her car for free. But I would also expect her to buy her own food and clean up after herself, like doing her own laundry, keeping her room clean and putting her dishes in the sink, if not the dishwasher. Would not expect her to cut the grass or shovel snow. The thought of even asking her to do this already gives me a headache. Now, I'm getting texts from both sisters telling me that I'm a horrible person and I should open up my home to this. That is unreasonable to expect a 19-year-old to spend 2 hours on the bus every single day, yada yada yada. Part of me does feel guilty because I could move my office and workspace down into the basement. Can't be a living space due to lack of windows, but I can't afford the expense of a second person in my home without them chipping in for the bills. Nor will I lock my cats away out of their home. And a quick little edit I want to add. Had a long talk with my sisters about the situation. Also spoke with my niece. She had no idea her mom and other aunts were trying to arrange living with me. She has plans on moving in with her boyfriend of 2 years, and her mom blew her top. End of story. I don't need to worry about her moving in with me. She didn't want to. I have too many rules for her taste. Laugh out loud. Honestly, guys, I think OP was incredibly generous to offer a room to stay, a place to park in the garage, and all they had to do was pay $250 a month and food. Whew, that sounds like a pretty good deal to me. I can understand why OP would also not want someone to live there. It was ruining OP's job, sleep deprivation, causing write-ups, so I'm gonna have to say not the a-hole. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. We still have 2 more stories to get into today, and they're both Am I the A-hole? So let's go ahead and jump into story 3 right now. My parents divorced when I was 10. I've had a very strained relationship with my father ever since. He remarried a few years later, and I have 2 half-siblings, who are roughly 15 years younger than me. In my 20s, my father tried very hard to repair our relationship. But after all the drama over years, we've never progressed beyond a cordial relationship. I'm now 41, and my father has passed away. I never went to see him before he passed, and maybe I sound heartless, but I don't really have any regrets. His home was left to all his children equally. My younger siblings, who I'm not close to, want to keep the house. They have a huge amount of sentimental attachment to it and offered to pay all the taxes, upkeep, and give me half of the money for renting it out. I do not have a similar attachment. In fact, I associate only negative feelings with this place. I told my siblings either they buy me out for the fair market value or we sell the home. I would rather use the money for my own kids' needs and retirement. After a lot of arguments, the house was sold and I got my share of the money. My younger siblings have stated that they will never forgive me. I thought I gave them a very valid solution if they wanted the house, but they refused to take out loans to buy me out. Am I the a-hole? Dang, guys, well, that was kind of a sad story. Unfortunately, OP had to cut contact with her family at the end. But at the same time, I don't know if you guys are, but I'm super surprised that OP's father even included her in the will. I mean, they did not have a good relationship, they haven't talked in like a decade, and the father continued to try to mend the relationship, but it wasn't happening. What would you guys have done if you were in that exact same situation? Would you feel sorry for your family and allow them to keep the house and get a little cut of the rent? Or would you say, no, we're going to sell this house and you have to? Let me know in the comment section down below and we'll jump into the next story. I'm a 33-year-old female, am employed, but God knows I've been looking for jobs. I'm a sales rep for well over 5 months, right after I recovered from my knee surgery. My husband has a high-paying job. First, he suggested I leave my career as a sales rep behind. Not up to his wealthy family standards, and they'd mock me for it a lot. And stay home, but I refused because I loved my job and I want to grow in it. He suggested he find me a better job since he does have connections, but that it's not in my field. I've had several job interviews and my husband has ruined all of them for me, and here's how. He'd walk into the room whenever I'm having a potential job interview and introduce himself and take over the conversation with the interviewer. He'd tell them about how good I am, but slip in some bad stuff. That eventually cost me the job. His argument was that he's just making recommendations since he's connections and influence, but I told him to stop and let me handle it. He sulked, saying he was just trying to guide me and whatnot. Well, guys, several days ago, I'd gotten a job interview after getting inside the room, and before the interview started, I locked the door. My husband tried to come in and started knocking on the door, asking why I had it locked and telling me to let him in. I put my headphones on and used noise canceling, but he just kept knocking, telling me to open the door. After the interview was over, I unlocked the door and walked out. He went off on me, calling me disrespectful and awful to lock him out like that. I said I was sorry and I wanted to work for this company so badly. I could not let him ruin it for me. He got offended and said I was being petty and childish, and also ungrateful because of the stunt I pulled, and said that he was trying to help me get the best deal out there. I said I'm not a child, but he said yeah, I was, especially with how I behaved and for excluding him from the interview. Guys, honestly, this story kinda got me heated. I mean, why does OP's husband think that he can be so borderline abusive? What he did was not okay, and he needs to leave her alone when she asked. You can't just barge into the room where someone's having an interview and try to be one-on-one with the interviewer. I mean, who does that? I think OP's in a toxic relationship, and I think she needs to find a way to fix it. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. If you don't agree with me at all, that's okay. Just let me know how you feel in the comment section below. That's the final story I have for you guys today. I hope everyone enjoyed all the content, and just so you know, Mr. Reddito uploads daily videos. So guys, thank you for watching, check out the channel, and as always, have a wonderful day. I'll catch you in the next one.